The desperate choice, the fluorescent lights of Metropolitan General Hospital, cast harsh shadows across Sophia Blake's face as she stared at the bill in her trembling hands. $50,000. The numbers seemed to dance mockingly before her tired eyes, each digit a nail in her brother's coffin. Miss Blake? The surgeon's voice cut through her spiral of despair. We need your decision within the next 24 hours. Your brother's condition is stable for now, but without the surgery, ... Double quotes Dr. Martinez didn't need to finish. Sophia had heard it all before. Oliver's internal bleeding would resume, and this time there would be no saving him. Her 22-year-old brother, brilliant computer science student, future software engineer, reduced to a ticking time bomb because she couldn't afford to save him. I understand, she whispered, though understanding and accepting were two entirely different things. The hospital corridor felt like a tomb as she walked back toward Oliver's room. Her phone buzzed insistently. Her boss, Vincent Sterling, no doubt wondering where his perfectly organized assistant had disappeared too. For 3 years, she had been his executive secretary at Sterling Innovations, one of the city's fastest-growing tech companies. Vincent was demanding, perfectionist, and absolutely ruthless in business. He was also devastatingly handsome, which made working for him both a pleasure and a torture she endured daily. She had developed feelings for him long ago. Watching him work late into the night, catching glimpses of vulnerability beneath his cold exterior. But Vincent Sterling lived in a different world, one of penthouse apartments and society galas. While she struggled to pay rent on her studio apartment, the next morning, Sophia arrived at Sterling Innovations at 5:30 a.m., her eyes red from lack of sleep. She had spent the night calling everyone she knew, begging for help. No one had $50,000 to spare. Her savings account held barely $3,000. The bank had rejected her loan application. Her credit cards were maxed out from their father's funeral expenses 6 months ago. Vincent's corner office occupied the entire top floor of the gleaming 40-story building. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking view of the city skyline. She found him already at his massive mahogany desk, reviewing contracts in his perfectly tailored charcoal suit. You look terrible, he said without looking up. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to hear your morning observations. That made him glance up. Vincent had sharp green eyes that seemed to see everything, and right now they were studying her with unusual interest. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his jaw was clean-shaven. Even exhausted and worried, she couldn't help but notice how attractive he was. What's wrong? His voice was softer than usual. Sophia was surprised by the question. In 3 years, Vincent had never asked about her personal life. She was efficient, reliable, and invisible. That was how he liked his employees. Nothing that concerns Sterling Innovations, sir. Sophia. The way he said her name made her stomach flutter. Sit down. She perched on the edge of the leather chair across from his desk, clutching her tablet like a shield. Vincent leaned back in his chair, his intense gaze never leaving her face. I've known you for 3 years. You've never looked like this. What happened? The kindness in his voice was her undoing. Before she could stop herself, the words came, pouring out. Oliver's accident, the surgery, the impossible bill, her desperation. She told him everything while tears streamed down her cheeks. Vincent listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. $50,000, he said finally. I know it's a fortune. I've tried everything. I even considered asking you for an advance on my salary, but even if you gave me 10 years' worth, it wouldn't be enough. Vincent stood and walked to the window, his hands clasped behind his back. The morning sun cast a golden glow across his broad shoulders. What would you do for that money? He asked quietly. Anything. The word escaped before she could think. I would do anything to save my brother. He turned around and there was something different in his eyes, something calculating and intense. Anything. A chill ran down her spine. What are you asking? Vincent walked back to his desk and opened a drawer. He pulled out a thick folder and placed it in front of her. My mother has given me an ultimatum. I have to be married within 30 days, or she'll use her influence with the board to remove me as CEO. The company would go to my cousin Richard, who would destroy everything I've built. Sophia stared at the folder. I don't understand. Open. With shaking fingers, she opened the folder. Inside was a marriage contract, already prepared by lawyers. Her name was typed in the bride section. You want to marry me? Her voice was barely a whisper. I want to hire you to be my wife. Temporary wife. 6 months should be enough to secure my position and satisfy my mother. In return, I'll pay for your brother's surgery and give you an additional $100,000. The room seemed to spin around her. Vincent Sterling, the man she had secretly loved for years, was proposing a business arrangement. Marriage is a transaction, he continued. Why not treat it as such? Why me? You're intelligent, professional, and you understand the business world. You know how to handle pressure and maintain discretion. Most importantly, you need the money badly enough to agree to this. His bluntness stung, but she couldn't deny the truth of it. What would be expected of me? We would move into my penthouse. We would attend social functions together, convince my mother and the board that we're genuinely in love. In public, you would be the perfect wife. In private, we would maintain appropriate boundaries. After 6 months, a quiet divorce. You would receive a settlement that would ensure you never have to work again if you choose not to. Sophia's head was spinning. It was like something out of a romance novel, except there was no romance. Vincent was offering her a business deal, nothing more. I need to think about this. Your brother's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning. The decision needs to be made today. The cruelty of his timing wasn't lost on her, but she knew. He was right. Oliver couldn't wait. She looked at the contract again. 6 months of pretending to be married to the man she loved, knowing it was all fake. It would be torture, but Oliver would live. There's a pen in the top drawer, Vincent said softly. She opened the drawer and pulled out an expensive fountain pen. Her hand shook as she signed her name on the line marked bride. Vincent signed. As well, his signature bold and confident. When he looked up at her, there was something unreadable in his expression. Congratulations, Miss Blake. You're about to become Mrs. Sterling. The weight of what she had just done crashed over her. She had agreed to marry Vincent Sterling, the man she loved, knowing he could never love her back. She had 6 months to guard her heart while playing the role of his devoted wife. When do we start? She asked. Tonight? I'm taking you to dinner to discuss the details. We need to create a believable story about how our relationship developed. And tomorrow, after your brother's surgery, we'll announce our engagement. Fast? I don't believe in wasting time. As she looked up into his intense green eyes, Sophia knew that nothing about this arrangement would be fine. She was about to enter a dangerous game where the stakes were her heart. And Vincent Sterling held all the cards. The marriage contract, the intercom buzzed, breaking the spell between them. Mr. Sterling, your mother is here to see you? Vincent stepped back, his professional mask sliding back into place. Send her in. Helena Sterling swept into the office, like a force of nature. She was an elegant woman in her 50s, with perfectly styled silver hair, and designer clothes that cost more than Sophia made in a year. Her cold blue eyes immediately focused on Sophia with obvious displeasure. Vincent, darling, I need to speak with you privately. Actually, Mother, this concerns Sophia as well. Vincent's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. Have an announcement to make. Helena's eyebrows rose dangerously. Vincent moved to stand behind Sophia's chair, his hands resting on her shoulders. The touch sent electricity through her entire body. Sophia and I are engaged. The silence that followed was deafening. Helena's face went through several expressions. Before settling on icy disapproval, your secretary, Vincent? Surely you're joking. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Sophia could feel the tension in Vincent's hands where they touched her shoulders. This was the first test of their charade, and Helena Sterling was not an easy woman to fool. How long has this been going on? Helena's voice could have frozen. Water. We've been seeing each other quietly for several months, Vincent said smoothly. We wanted to be sure before making it public. I see. Helena's gaze fixed on Sophia like a laser. And you, dear, how do you feel about marrying into the Sterling family? This was her moment. Sophia took a deep breath and smiled up at Vincent. With what she hoped looked like genuine love, I feel like the luckiest woman in the world. Vincent's hands tightened on her shoulders, and when she looked up at him, there was something in his eyes that made her breath catch. For just a moment, he looked at her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Then the moment passed, and he was back to being the cold, controlled CEO. Helena was watching them both with sharp intelligence. "Oh," she said finally. "This is certainly unexpected. I suppose congratulations are in order." But her tone suggested that congratulations were the last thing on her mind. After Helena left with promises to plan an engagement party, Sophia realized there was no turning back now. She was about to become Vincent Sterling's wife, even if it was only pretend. That evening, Vincent took her to La Bernardine, the most exclusive restaurant in the city. The maitre d' greeted him by name and led them to a private table overlooking the city lights. "We need to establish our story," Vincent said once they were seated. "How we met, how we fell in love, all the details my mother will inevitably ask about." "How romantic," Sophia murmured, studying the wine list that cost more than her monthly salary. "Romance is a luxury we can't afford right now. We need to be practical." But as the evening progressed, something shifted between them, Vincent told her about his childhood, about the pressure from his mother to marry someone from their social circle. Sophia shared stories about Oliver, about their parents' accident, about how she had dropped out of college to support her brother. "You sacrificed your dreams for him," Vincent observed. "He's the only family I have left. Dreams can wait." "What were your dreams?" Sophia hesitated. "I wanted to be a writer." "Silly, I know. It's not silly. Why didn't you pursue it?" "Life got in the way. Besides, I'm good at organizing your chaos." Vincent smiled, the first genuine smile she had seen from him in years. "You are exceptional at managing my chaos." For a moment the pretense fell away, and they were just two people sharing dinner and conversation. Then Vincent's phone rang, and reality crashed back in. "Oliver's surgery is scheduled for 8 a.m. tomorrow," he said after hanging up. "I've already transferred the funds to the hospital. Just like that. Just like that. You're my fiancée now, Sophia. Taking care of your family is my responsibility." The word fiancé sent a thrill through her that she tried desperately to suppress. This was business, nothing more. 3 days later, Sophia stood in Vincent's penthouse, feeling completely out of place. The apartment was stunning, floor to ceiling. Windows, modern furniture, and a view of the city that took her breath away. But it felt cold, impersonal, like a magazine spread rather than a home. "Your room is down the hall," Vincent said, carrying her single suitcase. "I've arranged for a stylist to come tomorrow. You'll need a new wardrobe for the events we'll be attending. I have clothes. It's not for the world you're about to enter. Trust me, appearances matter in my mother's circle." The guest room was larger than her entire apartment, with its own bathroom and walk-in closet. Vincent set her suitcase down and turned to face her. "There are some ground rules we need to establish," he said. "In public, we're madly in love. In private, we maintain appropriate boundaries. My bedroom is off limits, as is yours. We're business partners. Nothing more." "Of course," Sophia agreed, though her heart clenched at his words. "Good. I'll be working late tonight. Order whatever you want for dinner. The kitchen is fully stocked." He started to leave, then paused at the door. "Sophia." "Yes, thank you for doing this. I know it's not easy." After he left, Sophia sat on the enormous bed and wondered what she had gotten herself into. Outside the window, the city sparkled like a jewel, but she had never felt more alone. The next morning brought the stylist, a sharp-eyed woman named Miranda, who took one look at Sophia and immediately began planning her transformation. "We need to make you look like you belong in Vincent Sterling's world," Miranda declared, holding up various designer dresses. "But we also need to maintain authenticity. Can't look like you're playing dress-up." Hours later, Sophia barely recognized herself in the mirror. The navy blue dress hugged her curves perfectly, and the jewelry borrowed from Vincent's collection made her feel like a princess. "Much better," Vincent said when she emerged. His appreciative gaze made her pulse quicken. "You look beautiful." Thank you. Where are we going? My mother's charity gala. Consider it your debut as my fiancé. The gala was held at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and Sophia felt like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. The city's elite mingled in their designer gowns and tuxedos, discussing business deals and social gossip with equal intensity. Vincent kept his arm around her waist, introducing her to important clients and board members. To everyone watching, they looked like a couple deeply in love. Vincent was attentive, charming, and protective. When people asked about their relationship, he told their rehearsed story with convincing passion. "You're a natural at this," he whispered in her ear during a quiet moment. "So are you." Almost too natural. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the pretense felt dangerously real. Then Helena Sterling appeared, resplendent in gold, with a tall, distinguished man beside her. "Vincent, darling, I'd like you to meet someone," Helena said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "This is David Hamilton from the Hamilton Foundation. His daughter Catherine just returned from Paris." Sophia recognized the setup immediately. Helena was already working to undermine their engagement, introducing Vincent to more suitable prospects. "Mother," Vincent said coolly, "I'd like you to meet my fiancée, Sophia Blake." "Yes, we've met," Helena said dismissively. "David, perhaps. You'd like to hear about Vincent's latest acquisition?" As the conversation turned to business, Sophia found herself standing alone, watching Vincent in his element. He was magnetic, confident, born to this world of wealth and power. She was an outsider, playing a role she didn't belong in. "You look lost," a voice said behind her. Sophia turned to find a woman about her age, with kind eyes and a genuine smile. "I'm Emma," the woman said. "Emma Chen. I own the gallery downtown. And you must be the famous Sophia Blake, who's captured Vincent Sterling's heart." "I wouldn't say captured," Sophia replied carefully. "Oh, honey, you should see the way he looks at you. That man is completely smitten." Emma's words gave Sophia a dangerous hope. But as she watched Vincent charm the crowd, she reminded herself that this was all an act. In 6 months, she would be out of his life forever. The question was whether her heart would survive the performance. Playing the perfect wife 2 weeks after the gala, Sophia stood in front of a three-way mirror in the most exclusive bridal boutique in the city. Wearing a wedding dress that cost more than her yearly salary, the ivory silk hugged her curves perfectly, and the delicate lace details made her look like a princess from a fairy tale. But fairy tales didn't feel this empty. "You look absolutely stunning," gushed the boutique owner, making final adjustments to the train. "Mr. Sterling has exquisite taste." Vincent had chosen everything: the dress, the venue, the flowers, even the music. Sophia felt like a beautiful doll being dressed up for someone else's fantasy. Oliver was recovering well from his surgery, and seeing him healthy and laughing again made every moment of this charade worthwhile. But as the wedding date approached, Sophia found herself caught between gratitude and heartbreak. "Sophia?" Vincent's voice came from behind the curtain. "Are you ready?" She stepped out, and the look on his face made her breath catch. For a moment, he stared at her with something that looked like wonder. "You're perfect," he said softly. "It's just a dress." "No, it's not." He stepped closer, and she could see gold flecks in his green eyes. "You're going to make a beautiful bride." The wedding was held at the Sterling family estate, a sprawling mansion in the Hamptons. 200 guests attended, including business associates, society figures, and Helena's carefully curated guest list. To everyone watching, it was the wedding of the century. Only Sophia knew it was the performance of her life. Vincent looked devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo, and when he took her hand at the altar, she had to remind herself that none of this was real. The minister spoke about love and commitment, words that felt like mockery given their circumstances. "Do you, Vincent Sterling, take Sophia Blake to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." Vincent's voice was steady, but his eyes held something she couldn't interpret. "And do you, Sophia Blake, take Vincent Sterling to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "I do," she whispered, her heart breaking with each word. When Vincent kissed her, it was supposed to be for show. But the moment their lips met, something electric passed between them. The kiss was soft, tender, and completely devastating. For that brief moment, Sophia allowed herself to believe it was real. The reception was a blur of congratulations, dancing, and champagne. Vincent never left her side, playing the devoted husband perfectly. They danced to their chosen song, The Way You Look Tonight, and for those 3 minutes. Sophia let herself pretend she was truly Mrs. Vincent Sterling. "You're doing beautifully," Vincent murmured against her ear as they swayed to the music. "So are you. Your mother looks pleased. She's satisfied that I've fulfilled my obligation. That's all that matters." But as Sophia looked up at him, she saw something in his expression that contradicted his words. There was a gentleness there, a tenderness that made her heart race. Later that night, alone in the penthouse, the weight of what they had done settled. Over them, they were married now, at least on paper. For the next 6 months, she would be Vincent Sterling's wife. "I've had some of your things moved into the master suite," Vincent said, loosening his tie. "For appearances?" "The housekeeper comes twice a week, and she's very observant." Of course, Sophia felt heat rise in her cheeks. "But we agreed on boundaries. The suite has a sitting area and a daybed. I'll sleep there. You can have the bedroom." "Vincent, I can't take your bed." "You can and you will. This is your home." Now, Sophia, act like it. Living with Vincent proved to be more challenging than she had anticipated. He was surprisingly considerate, bringing her coffee in the morning and asking about her day. When she worked late preparing reports, he would order dinner from her favorite restaurant. Small gestures that made her heart flutter despite her better judgment. They developed a routine. Morning coffee together, reading the newspaper while sharing comfortable silence. Vincent would drive her to work, and they would maintain their professional relationship during business hours. Evenings were spent attending social functions or quiet dinners at home. To the outside world, they were the perfect couple. Vincent would hold her hand during board meetings, bring her flowers for no reason, and introduce her with obvious pride. He was playing his role flawlessly. But sometimes, when he thought she wasn't looking, Sophia would catch him watching her, with an expression that made her wonder if he was still acting. 3 months into their marriage, Helena Sterling invited them to a family dinner. Vincent's cousin Richard was there, along with his wife and several other relatives. The conversation was polite but tense, and Sophia could feel the undercurrents of family politics. "Oh, Sophia," Richard said over dessert, "Vincent tells me you've been his secretary for 3 years. How convenient that you fell in love with your boss." "Richard," Vincent's voice carried a warning, "I'm just curious about the timeline. When exactly did this relationship begin?" Sophia felt every eye at the table turn to her. This was a test, and she knew it. "Love doesn't follow a timeline," she said calmly. "It just happens when you're not expecting it." How poetic. And how fortunate for you that Vincent needed a wife so urgently. The words hung in the air like a blade. Somehow he had figured out that their marriage was a business arrangement. "I think we should go," Vincent said, standing abruptly. "Of course." "Darling," Sophia said, taking his arm. "We have an early morning tomorrow." In the car, Vincent was silent and tense. When they reached the penthouse, he poured himself a scotch and stood at the window, staring out at the city. "Richard knows," he said finally. "Yes, if he can prove it, he'll use it against me. A fraudulent marriage would be grounds for the board to remove me, and we'll have to be more convincing." Vincent turned to look at her. "Are you willing to do that?" "I agreed to 6 months, Vincent. I intend to honor that agreement." Something shifted in his expression. "This isn't easy for you, is it?" "What do you mean?" "Pretending to be married to someone you don't love?" The words hit her like a physical blow. If only he knew the truth, that she wasn't pretending at all. That every day of their marriage was torture because she was falling deeper in love with him, while knowing he could never love her back. "I'm managing," she said quietly. "Sophia, I want you to know that I appreciate everything you're doing. This arrangement has been beneficial for both of us. But I realize the sacrifice you're making. It's not a sacrifice. You've saved my brothers. Life still, when this is over, I want you to be happy. I want you to find someone who can give you what you deserve." The irony was devastating. The person she wanted was standing right in front of her, and he was planning her exit from his life. "What about you?" she asked. "Will you remarry? For real this time?" Vincent was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. After Natasha, I'm not sure I believe in love anymore. What happened between you two? She wanted the lifestyle, but not the man. When her modeling career took off, she decided she didn't need me anymore. She left for Paris with her photographer and never looked back. I'm sorry, don't be. It taught me that relationships are transactions. People stay as long as they're getting something out of it. Not everyone is like that, aren't they? You married me for money, Sophia. Let's not pretend otherwise. His words stung because they were partially true. She had married him for the money, but somewhere along the way her feelings had become real. She was in love with her husband, and he saw her as nothing more than a business arrangement. You're right, she said, forcing her voice to remain steady. This is just business. But as she looked at Vincent's profile in the moonlight, Sophia knew that her heart had betrayed her completely. She was in love with Vincent Sterling, and in 3 months, she would have to walk away from him forever. The question was whether she would survive the heartbreak. Secrets and Revelations, the charity auction was in full swing when Sophia noticed her first. A stunning blonde woman in a red dress that cost more than most people's cars, surrounded by photographers and society reporters. Natasha Volkov, Vincent's ex-fiancée, had returned to New York. Vincent, darling. Natasha's accent was deliberately exotic as she approached their table. I heard you got married. How? Quaint. Vincent's entire body tensed beside Sophia. Natasha, I didn't know you. We're back in the city. Milan was becoming so boring, I decided to come home. Her eyes assessed Sophia with barely concealed disdain. And this must be the secretary who caught your heart. This is my wife, Sophia, Vincent said, his arm tightening around her waist. And your wife, Natasha repeated, as if testing the words. How romantic. Though I must say, she's not quite what I expected Vincent Sterling to marry. The insult was delivered with a smile, but it hit its mark. Sophia felt every inadequacy, every moment of not belonging in this world. Sophia is everything I could want in a wife, Vincent said firmly. Oh, I'm sure she is. Very, practical. Natasha's smile turned predatory. We must catch up soon, Vincent. I have so many stories from Europe. Perhaps over dinner? Just the two of us for old time's sake? I don't think that's appropriate, Sophia said, finding her voice. Of course. Not, darling. How thoughtless of me. Natasha's laugh was like breaking glass. Well, I'm sure we'll see each other around. Such a small world, isn't it? After she left, Vincent was quiet and distant. During the ride home, he stared out the window, lost in thought. She's beautiful, Sophia said finally. Yes. Do you still love her? Vincent was quiet for so long that Sophia thought he wouldn't answer. I thought I did. But looking at her tonight, I realized that what I felt for Natasha was infatuation. She was beautiful, glamorous, everything I thought I wanted. But there was no depth to it. And now I wonder if I ever really knew her at all. Back at the penthouse, Vincent poured himself a drink and sat heavily on the couch. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked vulnerable. She left me for a photographer, he said suddenly. Some pretentious artist who promised to make her the next international supermodel. She said I was too controlling, too focused on work, too boring for someone with her ambitions. She was wrong. Was she? I am controlling, Sophia. I am focused. On work, maybe I am boring. You're not boring. You're driven, ambitious, successful. Those aren't flaws. Vincent looked at her with an expression she couldn't read. How do you do that? Do what? Make me feel like I'm not completely hopeless when it comes to relationships. The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken emotions. Sophia felt the dangerous pull of hope, the treacherous whisper that maybe, just maybe, Vincent's feelings for her were changing. Then his phone rang, shattering the spell. I have to take this, he said, stepping away. It's Tokyo. The next few days were tense. Vincent worked longer hours, stayed later at the office, and seemed to be avoiding her. When they did interact, he was polite but distant, as if Natasha's return had reminded him of the temporary nature of their arrangement. Sophia was working late in Vincent's home office when she accidentally knocked over a stack of papers. As she gathered them up, one document caught her eye. It was a private investigator's report, and her name was on it. With trembling hands, she opened the file. Inside was information about her background, her family, her finances, everything. About her life laid bare, but it was the date that made her blood run cold. The report was dated 3 months before Oliver's accident. Vincent had been investigating her for months. Before he made his marriage proposal, she was still sitting there, staring at the report, when Vincent walked in. "Sophia, I thought you'd gone to bed." He saw the papers in her hands and went very still. "What are you doing? I knocked over your papers." "I was just picking them up." She held up the report. "Care to explain this?" Vincent's face went pale. "It's not what you think. It's dated 3 months before Oliver's accident. You were investigating me long before you needed a wife. Sophia, please let me explain." "Explain what?" "That you knew about my financial situation, that you knew about Oliver's medical history, that you planned this whole thing." Vincent ran a hand through his hair. "It's complicated." "No, it's not. You manipulated me. You knew I was desperate, and you used that against me." Her voice was rising, years of suppressed emotion finally breaking free. "Was any of it real? The kindness, the concern? Or was it all just part of your plan? That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair? I signed a contract to marry you because I thought you were offering me a way to save my brother. But you orchestrated the whole thing, didn't you? Knew exactly what buttons to push to make me agree." "You're wrong," Vincent said, his voice strained. "Yes, I had you investigated. But not for the reasons you think." "Then why?" Vincent was quiet for a long moment, struggling with something. "Because I was falling in love with you." The words hit her like a physical blow. "What?" "I started having feelings for you months ago. I tried to ignore them, tried to maintain professional boundaries, but it was impossible. So I had you investigated to understand why I couldn't stop thinking about you." Sophia stared at him, her heart pounding. "You're lying. I'm not. The report told me about your struggles, your sacrifices for Oliver, your strength in the face of impossible circumstances. It made me fall in love with you even more. So when Oliver had his accident, you saw an opportunity." "No." Vincent's voice was sharp. "When you came to me that morning, desperate and crying, it broke my heart. I wanted to help you, but I also saw a chance to have you in my life in a way that made sense to both of us. By manipulating me into a fake marriage, by offering you a solution that would save your brother and give me time to show you how I felt." Sophia felt the world spinning around her. "You're saying you love me?" "I'm saying I've been in love with you for months. This marriage, this arrangement, it was never just business for me. I thought if I could just have 6 months, maybe, I could make you feel the same way. But you said relationships were transactions. You said love was a luxury we couldn't afford." "I lied." Vincent stepped closer, his eyes intense. "I lied because I was terrified you would reject me. At least with the contract, I knew you would stay for 6 months. Sophia's mind reeled. Everything she thought she knew about their arrangement was crumbling. "The things you said about Natasha, about not believing in love, I was trying to protect myself. But seeing her tonight, I realized that what I felt for her was nothing compared to what I feel for you. She was beautiful, but empty. You're everything. You're intelligent, compassionate, strong. You make me want to be a better man. Vincent, I know I've done this all wrong. I know I should have told you the truth from the beginning. But I was afraid you would see me as just another wealthy man trying to buy your affection, aren't you? No, the money, the contract, the marriage, it was all just a way to keep you close long enough to show you who I really am. Not the CEO, not the sterling heir, just me." Sophia looked at the report in her hands, then back at Vincent. "Do I know this isn't just another manipulation? Do I know you're not just saying what you think I want to hear? Because I'm willing to tear up the contract right now. I'm willing to give you the divorce, the settlement, everything we agreed on. Ask for nothing in return except the chance to court you properly." "Court me? Date you? Take you to dinner? Bring you flowers? Try to win your heart the way I should have from the beginning? Without contracts, without money, without any of the things that have complicated this between us." Vincent reached into his desk drawer and pulled out their marriage contract. Without hesitation, he tore it in half. There, the contract is void. You're free to leave if you want to, and I'm hoping you'll stay and let me prove that what I feel for you is real. Sophia stared at the torn pieces of paper, her heart racing. What about your mother, the board, your position as CEO? I don't care. I'll find another way to fight Richard. I'll convince the board that I'm capable of running the company regardless of my marital status. But I won't base my life on a lie anymore. And if you lose the company, then I'll build another one. I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that you're more important to me than Sterling Innovations, than my inheritance, than anything else in my life. Sophia felt tears streaming down her face. Vincent, I love you, Sophia. Not as my employee. Not as my convenient wife, but as the woman who makes me complete. I love your strength, your loyalty, your beautiful heart. I love the way you care for Oliver, the way you challenged me, the way you make me laugh. I love everything about you. I love you too, she whispered. Vincent went very still. What did you say? I love you. I've been in love with you for years, working for you, watching you, pretending to be your wife. It's been torture because I knew you could never love me back. But I do love you back. I love you so much it terrifies me. Vincent crossed the room and took her face in his hands. Can you forgive me? Can you give us a real chance? Looking into his eyes, Sophia saw the truth. The love, the fear, the desperate hope was all real. Vincent Sterling, the man she had loved from afar for so long, was in love with her, too. Yes, she breathed. When he kissed her this time, it wasn't for show. It was a promise, a beginning, a declaration of love that had been years in the making. And as Sophia melted into his arms, she knew that their real love story was just beginning. Love's true victory, the morning after Vincent's confession, Sophia woke up in his arms for the first time as his real wife. The contract was gone, the pretense was over, and in its place was something beautiful and genuine. Good morning, Mrs. Sterling, Vincent murmured against her hair. Good morning, husband, she replied, still marveling at how different those words felt now. I have something for you, Vincent said, reaching into the nightstand drawer. He pulled out a small velvet box. I bought this months ago, but I never gave it to you because I wanted to wait until it meant something real. Inside was a stunning diamond ring. Not the flashy showpiece from their fake engagement, but something elegant and meaningful. Vincent, it's beautiful. It belonged to my grandmother. She told me to give it to the woman I truly loved. He slipped it onto her finger. I love you, Sophia. Not because of a contract, not because of convenience, but because you're the other half of my soul. Their moment was interrupted by Vincent's phone. Alina Sterling's name appeared on the screen. We have to tell her, Sophia said. About the contract. About everything. Are you sure? She's not going to be pleased. We can't start our real marriage with lies. Vincent answered the call. Mother, we need to talk. Can you come to the office this afternoon? 2 hours later, they sat across from Helena in Vincent's office. The older woman's face was stone as Vincent explained everything, the original contract, the fake marriage, and their real feelings for each other. So you're telling me, Helena said slowly, that this entire charade was orchestrated to circumvent my wishes? Yes, Vincent said simply. But it became real, Mother. I love Sophia. And you expect me to accept this? To welcome her into our family after she participated in this deception? She did what she had to do to save her brother, Vincent replied, just like you would have done for me. Helena was quiet for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. You know, Vincent, I've been waiting 30 years for you to show this kind of passion about anything other than work. Mother, I don't approve of your methods, but I can't argue with the results. You're in love. Truly in love for the first time in your life, that's worth something. She turned to Sophia. Judged you, my dear. I thought you were just another gold digger, but you've done something no one else has ever accomplished. You've made my son human. Mrs. Sterling, Helena, please. Oh, we're family now. And I suspect we always were, even when we were all pretending otherwise. Later that afternoon, Richard Sterling arrived at the office with his lawyer. ready to challenge Vincent's position as CEO. He had discovered evidence of the marriage contract and planned to use it to prove Vincent's deception. "This contract proves that Vincent entered into a fraudulent marriage," Richard declared to the emergency board meeting. "He's unfit to lead this company." Vincent stood calmly. "You're right. The marriage began as a business arrangement. It evolved into something real, something beautiful. I'm not ashamed of that." He looked around the room at the board members. "I started this company with nothing but an idea and determination. I've built it into a billion-dollar enterprise. My personal life, my marriage, my relationship with my wife, none of that changes my ability to run this company effectively." "The contract proves you're capable of deception," Richard pressed. "The contract proves I'm capable of love," Vincent replied. "I fell in love with my wife, and I did whatever it took to keep her in my life." "That's not deception, that's devotion." Helena Sterling stood. "I've watched my son run this company for 10 years. His marriage, whether it began as business or bloomed into love, doesn't change the fact that he's the best CEO Sterling Innovations has ever had. I support him, and I support his wife." The board voted. Vincent retained his position by a wide margin. Outside the boardroom, Sophia waited nervously. When Vincent emerged with a smile, she threw herself into his arms. "We won," he said, spinning her around. "We actually won. What happens now? Now we live our lives. We live them, without contracts or pretense or anyone else's expectations." 6 months later, Sophia stood in the same bridal boutique, but this time she was choosing a different dress. Not the elaborate gown Vincent had selected for their fake wedding, but something simple and elegant that reflected who she truly was. "Are you sure about this?" Emma Chen asked, adjusting the veil. "You're already married." "We're renewing our vows," Sophia explained. "The first ceremony was for show. This one is for us." The renewal ceremony was small and intimate, held in the garden of the Sterling estate. Oliva was there, healthy and happy, walking her down the aisle. Helena Sterling sat in the front row, beaming with genuine joy. Vincent's business partners and their real friends filled the rest of the seats. When Vincent saw her walking toward him, tears filled his eyes. This time, when they exchanged vows, every word was real. "Vincent Sterling, take you, Sophia. To be my wife, my partner, my best friend, and my greatest love. I promise to cherish you, to support your dreams, and to love you with all my heart for all the days of my life. I, Sophia Blake Sterling, take you, Vincent, to be my husband, my partner, my best friend, and my greatest love. I promise to stand by you, to challenge you, and to love you completely for all the days of my life." When the minister pronounced, "Them husband and wife," their kiss was full of promise and hope and the kind of love that lasts forever. At the reception, Vincent gave a speech that brought tears to everyone's eyes. "A year ago, I thought I knew what I wanted from life: success, respect, control over my destiny. But I was missing the most important thing, love. Sophia didn't just marry me. She taught me how to love, how to be vulnerable, how to be real. She saved my brother-in-law's life, but more importantly, she saved mine." He raised his glass. "To Sophia, the woman who turned a business arrangement into the greatest love story of my life." Later, as they danced under the stars, Sophia marveled at how perfect everything felt. "Do you ever regret it?" Vincent asked. "The way we started?" "No," Sophia said without hesitation. "If we hadn't started with a contract, you might never have told me how you felt. Sometimes the best love stories begin in the most unexpected ways." "What about your writing? Your dreams?" Sophia smiled. "I've been working on a novel in my spare time. It's about a secretary who falls in love with her boss. How does it end? They'll live happily ever after." Vincent spun her around the dance floor, both of them laughing with pure joy. Round them, their friends and family celebrated, but Sophia only had eyes for her husband. "I love you, Vincent Sterling," she said. "I love you too, Sophia Sterling. Forever and always." As they danced, Sophia thought about the impossible choice she had faced a year ago: sign a contract to marry a man who could never love her, or watch her brother die. She had chosen love, even when it seemed hopeless. And love had chosen her back. Oliver approached them during a quiet moment, his arm around his new girlfriend, a nurse he had met during his recovery. "Thank you," he said to Vincent. "For everything." "Thank you," Vincent replied, "for having a sister worth saving." As the evening wound down, Vincent and Sophia stood on the terrace overlooking the garden, where they had just renewed their vows. The contract that had brought them together was long gone, but the love they had built was stronger than any legal document. "What do you think our life will be like in 10 years? Sophia asked. "I think we'll be even more in love than we are now," Vincent said. "I think we'll have children who roll their eyes at how romantic their parents are. I think we'll have built something beautiful together. And Sterling Innovations? We'll be successful, but it won't be the most important thing in my life. You will be." Sophia leaned against his chest, feeling completely content. "I used to think fairy tales were just stories, but this feels like a fairy tale." "The best kind," Vincent agreed. "The kind that's real." As they stood there, surrounded by the people they loved, Sophia realized that sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with the most desperate choices. She had married Vincent Sterling to save her brother's life, but in the process, she had saved her own. Their story had begun with a contract written in ink, but it would continue with promises written on their hearts, and those promises would last forever. Vincent Sterling and Sophia Blake Sterling had found their happily ever after, not in spite of their complicated beginning, but because of it. Love had transformed their business arrangement into something magical, something real, something that would last for all the days of their lives. In the end, the CEO, who had given his secretary 24 hours to marry him, had discovered that the best business deal of his life was falling in love with his bride. And Sophia had learned that sometimes the most impossible choices lead to the most beautiful destinations. The end.